Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Shadow Wizard Money Gang, also known as Middle School GSA.
That sounds like the most anti-Semitic shit ever. That sounds
it does. It
the
really
Shadow
does.
Wizard Money. When I heard that for the first time, it was from Jelly and I thought he was doing an anti-Semitic joke.
That's really funny. Oh my god. Anyway, this is the Middle School GSA. I'm Felonious Ferris, and I go by they them pronouns. And who the fuck are you?
I'm Demigloom. And stop dropping the F-bomb like crazy. Oh my god. My name is Demigloom. My pronouns are she, her, hers. Gotta show love to the hers, the third pronoun. Nobody talks about them anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if I say my pronouns are she, her, what if they think it's she, her, his? You know, they gotta know. Gotta know it's she, her, hers.
Mm-hmm. Great point. A great point you make.
So, before we read comments and whatnot, somebody asked me to talk about hormones and whatnot. I think it was Crystal Lesson in the Discord server. So I guess I figured I'd just read what I have documented about my hormones.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for the middle school GSA, that's a fair thing to talk about. So I started on May 18th, 2023. I take 4 milligrams of estradiol, 100 milligrams of progesterone, 2.5 milligrams of finasteride, and 50 milligrams of spironolactone, Spyro the Dragon.
That's so ooh woo. That is so X3. I love that.
What is having a medication called Spyro?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll just read my Twitter thread or sum it up. I called my local gender clinic and was like, hormones, please. And they were like, we'll call you back in like, or they were like, I wanted to schedule a consultation. I scheduled it about 3 weeks in advance. 3 weeks later, I called them and they're like, what do you want? And I told them what I wanted. And they were like, okay, here are your options. And they spent a heck of a long time explaining to me the ups and downs and everything of those options. The stereotype of them telling you like, or them not telling you the side effects and whatnot. The stereotype that people are just like, I want the girl pills. And they're like, okay, don't worry about the potential side effects and whatnot is not true at all. They were very, very clear about and open about all of it. Informed consent is real. It happens. And that was my experience. They went over my options. I decided I was like, I'll take one of everything, and decided on pills instead of like injections or cream, mainly because of medical waste and potential. What the fuck was I gonna say? Potential shortages. Potential shortages. There are potential shortages for the syringes or the injections. So I was like, okay, I'll take the estrogen pills and I'll take the 2 T blockers and then progesterone. I got the prescription written that day, and a couple days later, it showed up in the mail. I had it delivered from Walgreens, and started taking them every single day. And I'd say within the first couple of weeks, I was extremely fatigued. I started getting terrible acne. My back is always in pain. And just a lot of very undesirable side effects that I had to constantly deal with. It was not very fun. So that sucks. And that's it. It's hell. Hormones are a complete living hell. They've accomplished nothing good so far. I'm about 1 month and 10 days in. And it sucks. It's terrible. I guess I also have chest pain, which is a sign of breast development. But other than that, none of the good stuff happens until like 3 months in. So, yeah, it just really sucks right now. Basically, I'm going through what men go through in like their 40s. Just losing all the energy, no testosterone. Basically, like my body it doesn't exactly have. It's going through the transition, so it's kind of frustrating. Kind of in this weird middle ground where my body isn't exactly adjusted to one set of hormones, so I'm not getting all of it. My body's not being met with all of its needs, but this is just a a phase. It goes away over time, and soon I will be estronized. I don't know, estrogenized. But yeah, that's basically what I have to say about it. It's not like magical instant girl. So other than that, we have comments. Sorry if that was depressing, by the way. Insight Zoidberg comments, "What the fuck? No spoiler warning for Ghost Rider? We were gonna watch it tonight. Fuck you, Ferris. Anyways, love the show. I have brain cancer. I'm so sorry to hear about your recent diagnosis, and I hope you can beat the cancer. Although
this is so sad.
Although I do doubt the sincerity of this claim. Inside Zoidberg is apparently our biggest fan. She listens to every episode. She's told me personally that this is her favorite podcast ever. She thinks it's one of the best podcasts ever, and I'm like, okay. Yeah, I think it's pretty good. I think we
appreciate the support.
We appreciate
the support, Inside Zoidberg.
Cosmic8437 says, "Where the hell am I?" That's a question I can't answer, my friend. If you don't, you either know or you don't know where you are when you stumble upon something like Middle School GSA.
Mm-hmm.
You can't really explain what it is. The Riely podcast, Pepito says, the Riely podcast megafeed releases 30 hours of podcast in a day. Yet there are only 24 hours in a day. Only one conclusion is possible. Riely must have sold his soul to the devil for the ability to travel the multiverse. I would do a lot cooler things than make the Riely podcast megafeed if I could travel the multiverse.
I think maybe it's like a situation with a time turner from Harry Potter.
He just like finishes a podcast episode and then like goes back in time and starts another one. He's just constantly recording, and somehow he like has them saved. And he just has them automatically upload. David Fern says, I can't believe both of you hate all men. Very sad. So true.
Oh, we don't hate you, David Fern. You're one of the good ones.
Well, I think we made it pretty clear who the good ones are. They're the ones who listen to Middle School GSA, right?
Yes, obviously.
Yeah. The revolution will spare you, David Fern. Pacific Rant says, honestly, I kinda do wish for a buff, tanky boyfriend who would cuddle me and tell me I'm cute, and he would protect me from everything. I really think tanky men are really hot. Like, a lot. Demi, I know you know who I am. Don't you dare expose me. I will become the ultimate hater otherwise. Oh, I know who this is. I think Ferris could take a guess who that is, too.
I have no idea, actually. But you're wrong. Tanky men...
they all look like Vosh, but with slightly better facial hair.
Yes, and they're all man-children. Pretentious man-children.
They all play
and alcoholics.
Excuse me, Jesus Christ. They all play like Hearts of Iron 4, and that's where they get their geopolitical information from. It's all those like fucking video games where it's like a map of the Earth, and you like click on countries to invade them or whatever. Or like those text-based political games. So fucking stupid. So stupid and boring. And clearly it leads people to have a bad understanding of our political landscape. Yeah. Tanky women, on the other hand. Jesus Christ. Okay. That's a whole nother story. Tanky women are very beautiful. I don't care what anyone says. Real Merrick says, I believe who used to be Crystal Wesson. I think it's Crystal Wesson, like Smith and Wesson. I've had a friend with whom I loved to talk about politics, but he became so incredibly extremist left that he has always molten down over little more moderate takes from me and our friends. It became so bad he called us Nazis for wanting to vote for good policies because it is counter-revolutionary. He is one of those, if you didn't read Das Kapital, you can't be a communist gatekeepers. I don't talk to him anymore. It's sad. He has a lot of good takes, but he gets angry so fast that he scares off people from leftism. One of my sisters calls herself centrist now, even though she has clearly leftist views, just because she doesn't want to be associated with them. Very true.
Sad. So sad.
I should clarify, I am not a communist. I am not a capitalist. I'm not an anything-ist, okay? This is gonna sound like some centrist bullshit. But I simply like have very strong moral principles that lead me in the direction of socialism. But there are a lot of socialists who would say that I am a filthy bootlicking capitalist for not being socialist enough.
We're both shit libs.
Maybe. I feel like we're people that are allowed to say shit lib, though, to refer to other people.
Yes.
I mean,
but
I
would
tell
never
everyone...
call someone a shit lib other than myself. I am communist optimistic. I am also anarcho-syndicalist optimistic, but I would identify myself as a democratic socialist. That seems
if
like
you're
the
like hiding
safest
your
bet
power
to
level.
me. Yeah.
See, I don't have to lie. I just say I'm a leftist. Because if you were to
That's
leftist,
such an enormous umbrella.
I know
point,
it is,
though.
but it's the only category I can solidly put myself in without some exclusionary asshole telling me that I'm not that. And people still try to tell me that I'm not a leftist, which is absolutely absurd if you know anything about me. I'm one of the most leftist people on earth.
If you don't believe in capitalism.
Yeah, I don't believe in capitalism.
Or conservatism or any of that shit, then like literally if you believe in socialism, if you believe in widespread profound economic reform in the United States, you are objectively a leftist.
Yeah. I am that. I don't know, but then there's the ones who claim to believe in that, but they don't actually like tankies. But can we not talk about tankies for 5 fucking minutes? Yeah. Inside Zoidberg complained that we talked too much about tankies without even saying what they were. I assumed everyone knew what tankies were, but then again, Inside Zoidberg is 13. So for the actual middle schoolers who listen to Middle School GSA, a tanky is a leftist who... How do we actually define a tanky? Because I always just called them Marxist-Leninists. Those who
I think Marxist-Leninist Maoist, people who believe Stalin did nothing wrong and Chairman Mao did nothing wrong.
But there are a lot of tankies who love like Trotsky and hate Stalin. Like it gets complicated. I think it's like the post.
It does.
It's like the post-Lenin.
It's the USSR simps. Yeah.
I think you can defend Lenin without being a tanky. To an extent, I think you can defend Lenin's theory without being a tanky. Maybe even up to revolutionary strategies. But I think once you start to defend the state of the USSR, like post-revolution, you are a tanky. Tanky.
Same with Maoism.
But like Maoism is basically just like a reboot of Leninism.
Yeah. I really do not want to be a person who others look to for all of their political opinions, because I have known the kind of person who people look to for that kind of thing, and I have known the people who look to like a single individual in their life for all their political opinions. And I don't get along with... I really don't think that those situations are beneficial to people. Yeah, so please be critical. Please take things that we say with a grain of salt and do your own research.
Yeah, I agree. There are a lot of people who take my word on political topics like undisputedly, and I think that's really bad. I think I've done a good job more recently of just like ensuring that people, you know, do their own research and hold me accountable, make me show my work for all that. It's really really bad to have a following like that too, because it enables so much like narcissism. Yes. It makes you, because that kind of validation is bad. You don't want people to convince you that you are some kind of prophet. It corrupts. Power corrupts. To whom much is given, much is tested. Anyways, we have voicemails.
Woo!
Hey, Demigloom. Hey, Felonious Ferris. So I just wanted to call in because I heard Felonious Ferris on the last episode talking about how Nicolas Cage must have some sort of unfair advantage to get to where he is today. And Ferris, you were actually right.
Oh.
There is a powerful family in Hollywood called the Coppola family, and Nicolas Cage actually comes from that family. And a lot of his early career is thanks to that. So I just found that funny. I learned that myself on a podcast a few years ago, and you had your finger on the pulse. You knew Nicolas Cage was bullshitting the whole time. But that being said, he's very talented. How could you say that the guy who played Spider Noir isn't talented? How dare you?
I did really like his performance as Spider Noir.
Also, your answering machine is very weird, guys. It's very strange. Great show. Keep doing what you're doing.
What is our answering machine? I don't remember.
I don't remember either.
Is it, do we have a voicemail thing? I swear to God we do. I just don't remember what it is. Is it just like, I thought it was just like, you've reached the voicemail line for middle school. Oh shit, no! We had, remember a fucking fan of ours made something. It was like an explosion sound.
I remember that.
Yeah. Yeah. People have to hear that every time. I just uploaded that as our greeting.
That's
fun
so
fact,
funny, though.
Fun fact is you can't actually just like upload an MP3 for your voicemail. But with Google Voice, while you're recording your voicemail, if you have a soundboard, you could just play the MP3 and it'll think it's coming from your microphone. So you can upload like anything to be your voicemail on Google Voice. Fun little life hack. Also, I guarantee you, I'm saying it right now, Riely, correct me if I'm wrong, you got that tidbit about Nicolas Cage from Asterios Kokkinos, a podcast host that nobody else knows who. I'm just saying it right now. I guarantee you Riely got that information from him. Anyways, what are we talking about today? I literally forgot.
I think that we're talking about furries.
Oh shit, yeah. Furries. And that was this episode of Middle School GSA. I've been Demigloom. No, yeah, furries. Yep. The furry fandom, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what is a furry?
A furry. So, the official definition is that it is someone who is enthusiastic about anthropomorphic animal characters. And, you know, you might say, Felonious Ferris, what does anthropomorphic mean? And I'd say, dear viewer, it can mean a few different things. It can mean animals that walk on two hind legs, so like taking a quadruped animal and making them walk on two hind legs like Zootopia. And, you know, obviously personifying them, giving them a human-esque personality. Or it can just be an animal with very human qualities, like warrior cats. It can be that kind of thing. I consider that to be a form of anthropomorphic animal.
Or animals that are, like, represented as characters or as, like, plot devices in fiction in place of humans.
Mm-hmm. I'd say Bugs Bunny is a furry.
Anthropomorphic animal. They're not the same thing as a furry.
Yes. Mickey Mouse is an anthropomorphic animal. All you Disney adults, you're all furries.
Whoa.
Yep. And everyone who had a crush on that lion from The Lion King 2, the one who was Scar's son, if you had a crush on him growing up,
you're a zoophile. You should go to jail.
Zoophile.
Yeah.
But no. You're definitely flirting with being a furry. Same with all you Lola Bunny enthusiasts. You guys are pretty close there.
I remember when the Lola Bunny, do you remember when they gave her fucking top surgery for Space Jam 2?
Uh-huh.
And literally every single heterosexual man outed themselves as a furry on Twitter. They were like, this is fucking bullshit. Our bunny girls should have massive titties. This is wrong.
I do think that it is a specific, like, this is something that is going to be completely lost on a lot of boomers. But people who grew up with these anthropomorphic animal characters, same with people who just grew up with, like, cartoon characters more complex than like Popeye. A lot of us find it very easy to connect with on a deeper level or even be attracted to cartoon characters like that. And it's a very specific to like Zoomers and millennials thing. There aren't a lot of older furries, although
There are.
there are, and it's kind of a separate thing from modern furries, the way that those guys evolved. But we can go into that.
It started in the 70s, right? Like the furry identity.
Yes. Actually, I have a friend of mine, whose dad was one of the OG furries.
Whoa. That's a very small amount of people.
Yes, it is actually, it's remarkable. Of course, she is also a furry. That whole family is so autistic. Autism and being a furry, I'm sure some of you will be so surprised to hear this, but often these things occur together. But yeah, and I'm not gonna say his name or her name just for the sake of anonymity, but he's very, very influential old furry. He's also fucking clinically insane. He's a super MAGA conservative. And
that's another
totally
part of the furry
traumatized.
fandom we're gonna talk about.
Yeah. Totally traumatized my friend. And yeah, you can find Twitter threads about him where it's like, this guy is actually problematic.
Okay, you're gonna have to tell me about this person after the show.
Yeah, I will.
This is crazy. I didn't realize that we had this kind of connection.
But yeah, this is someone who I went to middle school with. His daughter. But yeah.
You went to middle school with his daughter, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And I believe that he was not... See, there's a few different places that this comes from. He was not one of the fetishists. He was just like a really, really weird comic artist. But there's a lot of people say, oh, the furry community has actually nothing to do with fetish stuff. That is technically untrue.
Very untrue.
Yeah. A lot of it did start with the pup community, which is a subset of BDSM in which people, you've probably seen pictures of like dudes in leather dog masks. Those are pups. And they just like pretending to be some hot, sexy lady's dog. And that's what gets them off. And that kind of evolved into...
That's kind of yucky, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan.
I see, as long as people are keeping it private in BDSM spaces or in their own homes, I do not care. Okay, now we're getting into more controversial stuff, but I do not believe that we should be having people in full, like, gimp suits, with ball gags at pride parades. I don't think that is appropriate.
Pride parades.
Yeah, and a lot of people will go, oh, kink in pride, it's like one thing. Yes, but also, young queer people deserve to be able to attend pride parades without being jump scared by fetishists. And I think in general, people don't deserve to be jump scared by fetishists and BDSM people. Do whatever the fuck you want in the privacy of your own home. I don't have the energy to give a shit. But, like, please, can we keep it inside your home? Inside the BDSM clubs? Please? Please?
My thing with the pup stuff is, like, I just have a very hard time believing that it isn't frequently used as an outlet for actual zoophiles. And for that reason alone, I like just have like a yucky taste in my mouth when I think about it.
Yeah.
I feel the same way about a lot of otherwise harmless fetishes too. I think a lot of them end up becoming stand-ins for people who are like actually into really disgusting shit. And it's just kind of unfortunate.
This is true. It is unfortunate, but still, you know, at a certain point, I just need to shrug my shoulders about what consenting adults are doing to other consenting adults.
No, for sure. Like, I'm not even saying every person who engages in that sort of stuff is like a pervert. Like, I'm not even close to saying that. I just know that like with it, like when it comes to like developing a sexual community, just like knowing that a fraction of them are like wolves in sheep's clothing, just makes me want nothing to do with it personally. Yeah.
And so a lot of furry stuff evolved from pup stuff, which is 70s, 80s. Although that community is still around. And then there's also just people like my friend's weird dad who were just super weird autistic comic artists. Yeah. It's wild. It's very diverse. Anyway.
There's it's not solely a fetish community. The fetish aspect is like definitely one of the main pillars though.
Yes.
Question for, well, I'll ask this later. What's your, or like, what is like in the modern sense, like what is a furry? Like when you picture furries in like 2023, what do you think of?
I would say someone who has a fursona.
And what's that?
And for all of you lovely viewers who do not know what a fursona is, it is when someone creates a version of themselves that is this anthropomorphic animal. So they might create a fun two-legged wolf with fun colors that is meant to represent them as an anthropomorphic animal. And there are people who have like quadruped fursonas, and there are people who have bipedal personas. And some people will even make something called a fursuit, which is a costume of that fursona. So then they can dress up and go around in their fursuit and have a lot of fun. Yeah, I know. I have in my past, I have had fursonas, you guys.
Me too.
I have.
Let's be honest. If you're like neurodivergent and queer and have been on the internet since you were a little kid and you're like our age, like you probably have at least dabbled in it a little bit.
Yeah.
I guarantee you lot of our viewers I think most of our viewers are probably not furries, but have like at some point questioned whether or not they were, or like dabbled in the fandom at some point.
But being a furry isn't like being gay. It's not like, am I a furry?
I feel like it kind of is for some people though, because like some people have like varying, like you said, it's enthusiasm around anthropomorphic animals. Yes. I think some people have varying enthusiasm, and whether or not you are furry because of that, is a question a lot of people ask themselves. And personally, I think the answer is, well, do you feel like do you feel that this makes you a furry? Do you feel like it's enough, a significant enough part of your identity that you're going to categorize yourself among these people who also have made this observation of themselves? It's kind of a choice in my opinion.
I feel like if it brings you joy, self-identify as a furry. Good for you. If you don't self-identify as a furry, you're not a furry.
I don't know, man. Sometimes there's people who are very much furries by any practical definition.
Nah.
And they're like, I'm not a furry, though.
I don't care. I think that it should just be self-identifying.
That's fair.
Anyway, furries, they're people, just like you and me, with fursonas, potentially even fursuits. They might go to conventions where a bunch of furries go and get in their fursuits and then go hang out together, and it's so much fun. Something that a lot of people don't realize is that a lot of furries, obviously, I already said this, but a lot of furries are autistic, and a lot of them, with fursuiting in general, find being in a fursuit very comforting as an autistic person, because it removes the pressure of needing to make eye contact. It removes the pressure for a lot of people of needing to speak. A lot of furries will just squeak when they're in their costumes or won't say anything at all. And it's just a very, in terms of comfort for an autistic person, it can be just very, very comforting. There are famous stories of people who, in real life, outside of a fursuit, are just terribly socially anxious. But once they're inside their fursuit, they become very outgoing and very happy to interact with others. I remember there was a case in particular about a school mascot who, outside of the school mascot suit, could not do a cartwheel, could not talk to people or like be their peppy self, but inside of the fursuit, suddenly it's just like a switch is flipped in their brain and they can do cartwheels and they can jump around and be super energetic and interact with people. And yeah, that's one of the things why I think it's kind of like, that's one of the reasons why I don't really get along with people who are really super judgmental to furries and fursuiters. Just because it brings a lot of comfort for some neurodivergent people.
Yeah, for sure. I think it also just like, for a lot of neurodivergent people, your own humanity can be a stressor in a public situation. Mm-hmm. And completely detaching yourself from your humanity and the implications that it has, your obligations. I think doing something so out there, such as being in a fursuit, removes a lot of that pressure, a lot of that performative like conformity.
Absolutely. And of course, we need to address the furry fetishists. Yes, it is true. Some people enjoy having sex in their fursuits. Some people like looking at porn of their persona or someone else's persona.
Some people pay lots of money. For art of their persona, of the lewd nature.
With its cock out. With a fucking enormous 32-inch dick.
Yes.
And honestly, to be completely honest, Demigloom, this is another thing where I'm just like, who fucking cares? I don't. I know that it can definitely be a bit of a boner killer if I'm looking at porn and I come across furry porn. But you know, whatever does it for you. If that brings you joy, I don't think it's hurting anyone. Nor do I believe it's like a slippery slope into zoophilia, which some people will argue. I just don't think it is.
That's absolutely not the case.
It's you know, I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. Do whatever you want. Which is kind of a controversial opinion in some spaces, but you know, whatever.
Yeah, I completely agree. That there's absolutely nothing wrong with here's the thing. Being a furry, like, for some people, is one of those things that is so life-dominating that it crawls into many aspects of your life, many aspects of your brain chemistry, including the sexual ones, you know, including the sexual part of your life. And a lot of people will point to being like furries, like they'll see a furry, say, hey, this isn't inherently sexual, and then they'll be like, but you literally had sex at a fursuit one time. And then it'd be like, well, like, you know, like, that's like saying, like, That's like saying to someone who wears like red shoes, like, oh, that's a sexual thing. You know how I know that? Because that one girl you had sex with, she really liked your red shoes and ended up fucking you because of your red shoes. Like, like I don't like. Okay, whatever. Like I don't really care. Like it's just things that are part of your life are also gonna be there in the bedroom. They're gonna appear. They're gonna show up in the bedroom sometimes. Just like being trans. You know, that's gonna affect your time in the bedroom. Or, you know, I don't know. I don't fucking know. There's so many things that could show up that doesn't make it an inherently sexual thing. However, I have a very hot take, which is going to make some people think that I'm going back on everything I just said. I wouldn't let my kid be in the furry fandom on the internet. I wouldn't let him. No fucking way. Absolutely no way that they're going to be unmonitored in furry spaces on the internet.
Fair enough. I will say that compared to other communities, the furry fandom is one of the best I've seen about outing predatory people.
Absolutely, yeah. You cannot get away with being a predator in the furry community.
Same with being an actual zoophile, like someone who wants to molest animals.
Yes.
You cannot get away with it. They will plaster your name everywhere, every single time on every Twitter thread. Whenever you do anything, they'll go, "Oh, this is that predator," and they're very good with it. However,
want to talk about why they have to do that all the time, though?
It is a hobby that attracts some unsavory types of people. Same thing with the pups, you know. Same thing with BDSM as a whole, you know. There's a lot of communities that I would love to be entirely unproblematic that do just happen to attract some problematic people. The furry community is one of those. And this is something that we might need to cut out later because I'm not sure if it's a good thing to put out in the world, but it is something I genuinely believe. I think that it is true that a symptom of autism can potentially be having empathy issues, having a lack or significantly reduced empathy. Some autistic people have heightened empathy, which is I'm one of those. It's a spectrum, and there are lots of different types of people, but some autistic people do have empathy issues. And whenever you're in a space with a lot of autistic people, those people are going to be there. If you have just a large sample size of autistic people, they are going to be there. And this applies to the furry community, and very hot take, it applies to the trans community.
Whoa.
Whoa.
I don't know any trans people that have empathy problems. Come on, Felonious Ferris.
Whoa!
I don't talk to any trans people who have problems with that. Never, ever, ever has this been a problem for me.
The big thing is that minority of people cannot be allowed to affect the way people view the entirety of the rest of the community. Trans people, obviously, need to be treated with respect, even though there are some really shitty trans people out there. Maybe even a higher percent of the trans population. Extremely hot take.
I disagree. I disagree with that wholeheartedly. I think trans people are overwhelmingly more morally adjusted than I don't think. I think per capita, trans people have a better understanding of morality and more sophisticated empathy and whatnot than your average cis person.
I believe that it is very black and white. There is I'd say 95 to 99% of trans people are what you just described. But then there is that 5 to 1% that is genuinely very bad. Is just that kind of autistic where empathy is a big issue. And the issue is that 5 to 1% can end up ruining the reputation of everyone else. And it's really sad, but it's a reality. Unfortunately.
Yeah, it's true.
That's why, I mean, in general, having your kid have unmonitored internet access is a terrible idea. It is a terrible idea.
Dude, especially if they're on, like,
furry
Discord,
community.
Tumblr,
Yes.
Instagram, Twitter, like the main social media platforms where people basically where fan bases congregate, where you're just naturally, basically where like your natural next step once making an account is to have a huge friend group of people on the internet. And children make themselves vulnerable on the internet pretty much no matter what. And
children often are actually very rarely aware of just how vulnerable they actually are. I know that I was more self-aware than most, but still.
Yeah, my parents taught me to be super cautious, and wasn't exactly super cautious, but I definitely knew for my like actual physical safety, as far as not getting kidnapped goes. I know that there wasn't a concern for me, and I think there's not a huge concern for a lot of people. But then again, I talk about this all the time. Babies who literally have no memory of a time without an iPad. Like, their earliest memories are just, like, never-ending stimulus feed from fucking YouTube Kids. Those people are, like, so fucking... They have such a symbiotic relationship with the internet, with this entity of the internet, that it's, like... I don't even know how to address them at this point. I think my relationship with the internet is symbiotic.
Yes, mine too.
Very much so. But people who are just a couple years younger than me, some people who are my age were in this situation. But mainly people who are a couple years younger than me are in like an entirely different world. Like, at the end of the day, like, my childhood memories are like me going outside, you know, swimming, playing with friends, shit like that. The internet existed. There was a little bit of YouTube in my life, a little bit of cool math games, you know. But I remember a time without it, and I remember a time where it wasn't an absolute need. Yes. Those who do not have that memory are so detached from people like me, people like you, people who are older than them, in such a strong way that, like, I can't think how their brain would. I can't process how their brain operates on the internet, how protective they are, how they see the internet as different from real life. Because so many children nowadays, like even like 7-8 years old, like they have like Discord friends. Like if you ask them who their best friend is, it's like some Discord user that their parents don't even know about. Like, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And for this,
I mean, our generation is already a generation where grooming in the classical sense, like preparing a child usually, to be sexually assaulted, is super common. Like, fucking everyone went through this. Over the internet.
Literally everyone got groomed on Discord.
Yes.
Our age. Like, everyone.
And I cannot imagine the amount of danger that these very young children are in. Yeah, it's horrifying. But yeah, honestly, any online communities, be fucking careful, including the furry community. Let your kid have a fursona, accompany them to cons maybe.
Yes.
But monitor their internet access. Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, in reality, we should monitor their internet access like on a whole nother level. Like
Yes.
I get frustrated when friends who are like 2 or 3 years younger than me, like I find out that their parents are like super overbearing and whatnot, and when it limits my ability to communicate with them. But honestly, on a fundamental level, I think it's a good thing. When I was younger, I wouldn't even be able to fathom that. That would have been such a breach of privacy in my eyes. I had there was a lot of internet activity that I didn't want them to know about. And I guess at the end of the day, the sad reality is that the kids, they're gonna find a way. They're gonna have this undocumented internet life. They're gonna have a life behind your back. And it's just your responsibility to make sure that they're prepared to handle it.
Yes.
And to, take every possible step that you can to deter them from going in a dark place. Dude, my parents should have taken my phone away when I was 14, 13, 15. The shit that I was up to, dude. Fucking, I shouldn't have ever been through, gone through so much of the shit that I did on the internet. Things that I said stupid shit on the internet. You know this. You know that I have a history of saying really dumb shit on the internet that could forever be held against me. Things that are absolutely not reflective of who I am now, but they're there. It doesn't matter that I was 13 or 14 or 15 when I posted them. What matters is that it's there forever.
The way that these kids are growing up with their entire, their digital footprint starting from when they were 5, is horrifying. Because I'm sure that all of us have phases of our lives that we aren't proud of and that we don't want to be just recorded forever. But these kids now, their entire lives, every aspect of their character arcs, are documented. And it's horrifying. It is horrifying. And honestly, we're going off completely on a tangent, but I am so deeply concerned for this next generation of kids.
Yeah, it's insane. I think this is a threat. This is a threat to the youth, to the protection of our youth that we never would have saw coming. And it's probably the biggest threat, the biggest social threat to children that we've probably had to face ever.
Absolutely.
Just as far as their constant living reality.
Every child is being served up on a platter to pedophiles on the internet.
Yeah.
That is just true. If you are
no matter
not
how family friendly of a place that they're in, whether it's Roblox, Discord, it doesn't matter. It does not matter where they are.
Yep. And I just hope that the parents of these kids are going to be prepared to take care of their kids in the aftermath. Because at this point, a lot of people don't have a choice but to let the internet raise their kids for them. But we need to be prepared for the catastrophes that are going to come from this.
Yeah. Sorry, my mom needed access to Riely's Hulu password.
Okay.
What were we talking about?
How
much of a threat to children the internet is, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be a crazy parent if I ever have children. If I'm ever in charge of a child, if I'm ever taking care of a kid, I will put in as much effort as I am physically capable of into ensuring that they're using the internet in a safe way. Because you can't get them off of the internet. You can't. It's impossible.
Mm-hmm.
And it's depressing. It's a really sad reality. Mm-hmm. There's nothing you could have done, and this is a really harsh thing. There's nothing you could have done to me when I was 12 years old to get me out of the absolute degenerate communities that I was in. There was nothing. There was nothing you could have done to protect me from the extremism that influenced me at such a young age. There was absolutely nothing that could be done. except completely take away my internet access. And even then, I needed to use the internet for school. I had school computers. I would have had YouTube. I think YouTube has done more harm to children than anything. Maybe not directly, but like this, as far as the psyche of children, the mind state of children, like YouTube has probably done more harm than absolutely anything. But we could talk about this another time. Back to the furries, right? Unless you have anything you want to add.
Nah.
Yeah, I guess that whole tangent in the furry episode probably sounded like I was shitting on the furry community. Absolutely not. I've been friends with a lot of furries over the years. I've had a great relationship with many furries, and I don't have a problem with furries in general. It's just that there are so many wolves in sheep's clothing everywhere on the internet, and the furry community is kind of a hotspot for those people. You know, we talked about how they do such a great job of outing predators and whatnot. They wouldn't be able to do a good job outing predators if there weren't predators to out. They are there, and it's really gross. So, as far as the internet goes, I would keep my children away from the furry side of the internet unless I was like literally in the room with them while they were like, I don't know, chatting on Discord or whatever. Like if they're going to be like chatting in a furry Discord server, they're not going to have they're not even going to have their own Discord password. I'm going to have their password, and I will watch them. I will log them in, set the timer for however long. I'm going to let them chat there and sit there behind their shoulder and watch, because that's how afraid I am of like Discord.
And I do think, kind of pivoting here, unless you have more to say.
Not really, no.
A lot of people accuse furries of being zoophiles. And you might say, Felonious Ferris, what the fuck is a zoophile?
Oh, great.
And a zoophile is someone that wants to fuck animals.
Someone sexually attracted to humans, or not to non-humans.
And they exist. They are real. And unfortunately, as good as the furry community is about outing terrible people, the furry community is a hotspot for them, as some might predict. It is obviously a tiny minority, and that tiny minority is usually weeded out and outed for being horrible. The thing is, the furry community, the rest of the furry community, is, as you might imagine, very concerned about animal rights. Really has a very strong connection to animals in a wholesome way and wants to see them protected. So they're more repulsed than most with actual real zoophiles.
Yes. I think it's best to describe it as the internet zoophile community. You'd think that with like how literally everyone's on the internet, you'd think that like it would be a pretty huge thing. But honestly, like I think just less people want to have sex with animals than we think, because there's not a lot of, they don't have a really strong presence on the internet. Like pedophiles, like, you know, like the map community, they have a very strong presence. They are a force to be reckoned with, unfortunately. But like there's not really a unified zoophile community. So it's really just like a really small amount of people in general, and the furry community is actually huge. Like more people want to put on like furry costumes than have sex with animals by a lot. But this very small community of people that do want to have sex with animals, like, see the furry fandom as a vulnerable place where like some of their like weirdo behavior could be perceived as normal. And they kind of like sneak their way in there, and they almost always get outed, right? They almost always get outed, completely banished from the community, the fandom and whatnot, and are never allowed to show their face again. And that's great that they're able to do that. But the fact of the matter is that they are there. And, you know, maybe before they get banned from the server, they DM a couple of people, you know, and they develop some connections. And it's basically, it's not even like the furry community that has this problem. It's more so that the furry community is basically under attack by a small group of people that infiltrate them and fuck with people.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's also important to note that a lot of these weird zoophile people have this like strange, like they're not just like people who don't believe in animal rights. They're actually a lot of really fucking weird animal rights people that like they're so obsessed with animals. They feel like they have like this weird connection to animals, and it like gives them the right to connect with them sexually. Or like they see themselves as a part of nature and like interspecies sexual activity as like something normal. So like just because you see somebody with it's a really really weird mental gymnastics that they do to justify it. But just because somebody seemingly has like a lot of compassion for animals and whatnot doesn't necessarily mean that they are, it doesn't exactly exempt them from that sort of thing. If there's other red flags there, you should definitely pay attention to them.
And you might say again, hey, Felonious Ferris, what's the difference between people who pay a lot of money to make lewd art of their personas and people who want to fuck animals? And I would say, dear viewer, the difference is that people who want to fuck animals want to fuck animals, and people who like lewd furry art are not fetishizing something with the IQ of a dog or a lizard or anything, or an animal in general.
Yeah.
They are not, the difference is essentially human level awareness and consciousness and IQ. That's the difference. That's the difference. It's okay to have sex with a consenting adult person. It is not, an animal is not capable intellectually of consenting to having sex with you, no matter how much some people might think that they are. And that is the difference. And that is why I shrug my shoulders at people who like furry porn, and still treat zoophiles much, much differently than I do them.
Yeah, and I think I can understand why a lot of older people could see like people who want to fuck like Lola Bunny or whatever, like what the fuck, that's an animal.
Mm-hmm.
But I can just assure the world that it's not, people don't lay their eyes upon, they simply, and there's not really, I'm sure I could explain this in a much deeper, more meaningful way, but like at the end of the day, when you look at Lola Bunny, you don't see a bunny. You see there's humanity shining through there.
Yes.
Like it's a reflection of humanity. It's a weird, nuanced, fictional version of humanity, but at the end of the day, in spite of technically like within its fictional worlds not being human, it is a form of humanity as far as your perception is concerned.
Yes. And I'd like to say that the furry community is like 100% perfect all the time at weeding these people out, but that isn't true. A lot of people fly under the radar. Even you guys may have heard from memes or from, I don't know, even sex workers, about the company Bad Dragon.
Oh, God.
Which are famous for making furry dildos, furry sex toys. So just dildos that correlate, it's the genitals that correlate to a furry character. Again, I do, this is getting into much weirder territory for me personally. But I still, if that does it for you, I don't have the energy to give a shit. You do you. But a lot of, there are, I think, 2 co-founders of Bad Dragon that have a really troublesome history, one of which there are old forum chats of them on forums about how to safely molest your lizard pets without hurting them.
What the fuck?
Yeah. And stuff like that. Which is heinous and despicable.
And they also make
and
anatomically accurate animal penis dildos.
Yes.
Which is disgusting. That's not a furry thing, that's an animal thing. There's a difference.
And fleshlights. And stuff like that. Yep.
I feel bad for the furries because we're just constantly talking about bestiality in their episode. I feel like this episode needs to give them a chance to shine. We're just like weeding out the absolutely most despicable shit that has ever happened in their community. I feel like if someone did, and not to compare our demographics, but if someone like did some like normie like corporate podcast, did an episode about trans people and spent like 45 minutes just talking about the worst things that trans people have ever done.
Yeah.
That would be kind of yucky.
I just have a need to talk about the bad dragon thing because so many people aren't aware of it and it is so disgusting. Yeah.
As far as I know, most people think Bad Dragon is they're just the funny dragon dildo company, right?
Yeah.
They don't understand the actual troubled history of it.
Yeah.
Nor are they actually like into it though. How many people? I don't know how many people actually buy that shit personally.
A lot of people.
I don't understand the appeal. I'm gonna I try to keep my own tastes out of these conversations, but I don't get it. But that specific thing, I don't understand.
Yeah. I'm not gonna go into the pathology of people who buy bad dragon dildos that look like dog penises.
Well, those ones are absolutely disgusting, and I can attribute that to zoophilia. But people who want like dragon dicks and stuff, it's like, or just like like furry dicks, like anthro dick. I don't. There's like the sex toy specifically. Like I don't get it.
There is a whole pathology behind a lot of it that I'm not going to get into because we need to talk about what we like about furries, what we love about furries.
I love a lot of things
because they deserve it. I love furries. I'm going to come out and say it. I love furries. Obviously, as an autistic person, I get along with other autistic people very easily, very well. And for the third time, a lot of furries are autistic. And I just generally, I've had a lot of furry friends. I have had fursonas in the past. They're cool, generally more morally adjusted people than a lot of different people.
Yeah.
I feel safer at a furry con than I do in a room full of cisgender men. Which I'm sorry, no, not to completely dunk on cisgender men. There are a lot of cool and nice cisgender men. I am dating a cisgender man. But there is just, you guys aren't as good at policing each other as furries are at policing other furries. So I feel safer at furry cons. But
have you been to furry conventions?
I haven't. It's one of my bucket list things that I really want to do.
Me too. I gotta go.
We're gonna go together one day.
We could make some kind of content out of that.
Absolutely, we can vlog Anthrocon. But yeah, and I think it is a wonderful creative outlet. I as an artist myself, I have a very soft spot for other artists and anything that inspires people to create art. And the furry fandom is one of those things. And I am just so happy that it is something that inspires people to create. And I believe it's one of the most positive hobbies that someone could have, honestly.
Furry artists are amazing, dude. They're
Yes.
just as people and as artists.
Yes. Yeah, honestly, I really it is unfortunate that we went on for so long about the issues with the furry community, but I feel like it's important to address those issues and let people know how those issues shouldn't make them form negative opinions about furries overall.
Yes, absolutely. I think it's also important for people to know that we know about those issues and we're not just ignoring them.
Yes.
That's pretty much like, that's one of my biggest motivators when it comes to doing content, or like one of the biggest things that I'm motivated to do is like ensure the world that I'm aware of all the potential problems with the good thing that I'm talking about. And it's often misinterpreted as me being against the good thing that I'm talking about.
Yeah. But we love furries. I've been thinking I might make myself a new fursona. That might be a fun little thing.
Oh?
Yeah. Yeah.
What animal would it be?
I might just do it. I think it would be a goat.
Yeah.
Back in the day, I had a wolf fursona.
Yo, that's lame. That's so fucking lame.
It's generic.
Everyone had a canine persona. Every single one. It's so lame.
Canines are just really cool, you know? Canines and felines are just incredibly charismatic animals. And I understand, and I still really, I was a wolf kid, and that wolf kid lives inside my heart. Wolves are cool, you guys. They really are. Super cool animals. But at this point in my life, I think I would have a goat fursona. They are just non-binary. They are non-binary. I said it, goats are non-binary. NBs have claimed goats as, yep. Uh-huh.
It's official, I guess.
Yep.
The CEO of NBs, Felonious Ferris, has officially claimed goats.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, furries are really cool. When was the first time you became aware of furries or met a furry or whatever?
I think I had friends who were like, ugh, furries. As early as probably 5th grade. And then, but even before then, I was reading books like Warrior Cats and like Wolves of the Beyond and The Guardians of Ga'Hoole, and those are very furry books. And then I became aware of people with fursonas and stuff, and I was like, that's dope. I'm gonna do that. So I did.
What were your fursonas like? What was the thought process behind them?
There wasn't a lot of thought process. They were just wolves that walked on hind legs, and they were sparkle dogs with very bright neon colors. Neuron activation for a 6th grader was, at least for me, was very bright colors. So.
Huh.
Yeah.
Cool. I have to be honest with you guys. I kind of said ew furries at one point in my life. I think it was when I was 12 and 13. But here's the thing, guys. Here's the thing you don't understand. I actually secretly really, really, really liked this one furry. And she at the time, but I will respect their current pronouns. He was a furry, and I had a very, very, very massive crush on him. And middle schoolers, they're really stupid. And when they have a crush on somebody, they pretend to hate them and think that's gonna, I don't know, they think that's gonna get them somewhere. They think that's gonna accomplish anything good. So naturally, I was like, ew, you're a furry? That's gross, dude. Show me your fursona.
You're a
That
tsundere.
not anymore. I used to be for sure.
Uh-huh.
I used to be like that. Now I'm like way, way too honest about how I feel about people.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's pretty. I think if I like somebody, or like not even like, but just like somebody. If I'm fond of somebody, they know. They know. I make it very clear. I think maybe the first week or so that you know me, you might think that I hate you. But that's just because you haven't become aware of my like just general presence, like my default presence. Because by default, like dude, like I don't fucking smile, man. Like I kind of just look like I hate everything because I do hate everything. I hate life. I am actively suicidal right now. I am a threat to myself and others. Anytime I'm standing there, I have the fucking darkness in my brain is so overpowering that I have very difficult time like being like presenting as like happy or showing the world that I am glad to be around people, even though I very much am. But I think once you become aware that like that is my absolute default, then you start to take note of you take note of the times that I slip out of that and the times that I am not acting like that, and then you go, oh, they're acting not like that to me. That's cool. Yeah, ask any of my friends. I'm sure they'll say something like that. That they thought I just hated everybody, and then realized that I just hate everybody, but not them. They realized, no, I don't hate everybody. I just hate life. You know, hatred is like my default. No, I'm being super dramatic. I'm kidding. I'm joking about 90% of what I just said. But it's hard for people to tell that I like them sometimes. But then it becomes very clear. There's no dishonesty, is what I'm trying to say. I'm not a tsundere. There's no dishonesty there. There's no pretending to not be a fan of somebody when I actually care about them. But at the time, that was not the case. But I think I pretty much realized very early on. I was like, oh wow, me saying that them being a furry is really stupid, or that I don't like that they're a furry, that's not accomplishing anything good. So I basically was just like, I changed my mind. Furries are good now. Like, I don't know how I addressed it exactly, but I became intrigued. Started getting into just my friends' art. Like I'm a failed artist. I was never able to do anything that was remotely presentable art wise. But I still admire art very much, and admire the raw talent and passion that was like discernible from what my friends were putting together, and eventually made a couple other furry friends. They showed me a lot of cool stuff, showed me a lot of really interesting shit, and at one point I was close enough to enough furries that I was like, should I just do that? Like, should I be a furry? And the answer was no. It was always no. I've on multiple occasions thought maybe I am, maybe I'm not. There were times where I was like, once I had my My Little Pony OC, which is completely unrelated from the furry community, by the way. I created a My Little Pony character named Demigloom before my name was Demigloom. That's where I got my name, in case you didn't know. And sometimes I would say I was a furry just because I didn't feel like explaining like the My Little Pony fandom and how having a pony character like worked. So I would just say I was a furry, be like, yeah, I'm a furry. Like, this is a fursona. It's basically a fucking fursona, but it walks on 4 legs, or it could walk on 2 legs if it wanted to. You know, with very, very minimal design change, it could walk on 2 legs. But it was whatever. That's pretty much been my relationship with the furry community since then. Just great admiration. Multiple times considering, or just like frequently considering being a greater part of it than I currently was, and then just realizing it really wasn't for me. But yeah, I have a great amount of admiration and respect for all the furries in my life. All the furries, I love you very much. And I don't really have a whole lot else to say. Like, am I going to talk about every individual piece of art that I've seen, or no? Like, I don't know. Big fan. Good stuff.
Illy furries, illy. We need to have more furries in the MSGSA fandom.
Maybe we will. Maybe I'll market this episode to the furry community, and then they'll get halfway through, and we're just talking shit about them, and then they'll hate us. Yeah, I'll get somebody to draw us as furries for the thumbnail. That would be cool.
Yes.
But other than that, do you have anything else you want to talk about regarding furries?
Not really.
Do you want to do rapid fire hot takes for TikTok? Do you have any rapid fire hot takes?
In my brain, other than the one that you said that you didn't want me to say on the internet, no.
DM it to me because I don't remember what you're talking about. I will convince you otherwise. That's a bad take, and I will fix you. I will fix you. Trust me. Wait. Hold on. I agree. Okay, you provided me 2 examples. I agree with one of them. Anyways. What about cannibalism? Do you want to give I could set a 1-minute timer and you could talk about cannibalism and we could post that on TikTok?
I don't think people should eat people. You're free to talk about that. Oh my god, we're gonna ruin our reputation.
Well, I agree. I don't think people should eat people. I'm not pro cannibal. There was definitely an arc where I was like, I have yet to hear a convincing legal or moral argument as to why cannibalism is inherently bad. You know, because like I was convinced essentially that like only eating brains was bad. That if you had the consent of the dying person, that you could eat their corpse. However, you forget to account for one thing, Demigloom. Consent has to be reversible, and you can't consent when you're dead. You know, what if they would have changed their mind? You know, what they didn't understand the implications of being eaten, having their corpse eaten. You know, it's really not your decision to make. I don't think you could make a super educated decision about what you want done with your corpse in like the exotic realm before you're dead. So yeah, don't eat people. Unless you get like an amputated leg, then eat that shit. I think Felonious Ferris agrees with me.
I wouldn't like
is there anything morally wrong with that? Eating an amputated, like your own amputated leg with your homies?
I think it's yucky.
Yeah, it's gross.
And
it's fucking disgusting.
I don't know why anyone would want to do that, but I don't think it's like morally reprehensible.
Is it morally wrong?
In and of itself.
Is it even necessarily wrong? Because you said it wasn't reprehensible, but is it wrong generally?
My stomach tells me yes.
Okay.
Logically, no. Probably
Here's
not.
what I have to say. It is morally equivalent, almost. There's obviously factors that could change this, to eating like dumpster juice. Can we agree on that? Eating an amputated leg is basically like eating dumpster juice.
Sure.
Like we're not gonna tell you to eat it. Well, no, because I will tell you to eat an amputated leg because I think it's really funny. It's so funny that I will. Listen, if you can eat dumpster juice in a way that's really funny, and isn't
the worst possible advocates for the trans community. People are gonna look at this clip and go, "Oh, all trans people are like this. I hate trans people."
Have I said anything morally wrong though? I don't think I have.
But they're gonna
not concerning yourself with what like normie cis people think. Have I said anything wrong in this conversation?
No,
I haven't. I'm fine. I'm good. I'm gonna be a teacher someday. Yeah.
I do. Here's a hot take.
Okay.
I believe that with exceptions, with like religious exceptions, I believe that not wanting your organs to be donated after you die is despicable.
Yes, thank you. I thought since it's a hot take, I thought you were going to say it's not that bad to not want your organs donated.
I don't know. I recently had a discussion with someone like this over the internet, and they believed that I like don't believe in human rights. They think that it's a human right. But they were like, they refused to explain themselves as to why they don't want why they want their organs to decompose with them and become worm food as opposed to going to saving someone's life.
Think of the worms.
They were unable to defend that position and instead just said that I don't believe in human rights because I believe that not wanting your organs to be donated is disgusting.
Well, I believe in the human right to be alive and have access to, I don't know, vital organs.
Yeah.
And if that means that some dead motherfucker is gonna die, like he's gonna rot without his fucking heart or his liver, then so be it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. That's my hot take.
That's not even a hot take. I feel like most people agree with you.
Like 50% of people agree with me, and the other 50% believe that I'm worse than Hitler.
So that's like a lukewarm take, then.
Yeah. Fuck Bill Clinton. Here's my hot take.
Yeah, the guy's an asshole.
Here, beep out everything I'm about to say. I believe that Bill Clinton should be to the bottom of the sea. I want him to be
No, you don't want that. You just wouldn't be sad if that happened.
I want that to happen.
No, you don't want that to happen.
I do want it to happen. Fuck Bill Clinton.
Bill Clinton is a rapist. That's my hot take.
Yes. Fuck Bill Clinton.
Honestly, yeah.
Fuck Hillary Clinton, too. Fuck them both.
Yeah, not a big Hillary Clinton fan either.
Every once in a while, I'll be like, wow, Trump is a horrible person and I hate him. And they'll be like, well, Bill Clinton is also on Epstein's flight logs. And I'm like, I believe that the same terrible fate should befall them both.
Yeah,
and
sure.
Most people, most liberals and even liberals, believe the same thing. Neither of them will make excuses for someone just because they are on the left.
Do we have anything else to talk about before we wrap things up?
I don't think so.
All right then. Where can our listeners find you, Felonious Ferris?
Social media platforms. Type in Felonious Ferris. I might be there. I probably won't be active.
I'm gonna create Felonious Ferris accounts. I'm just gonna post like really disgusting things. I'm gonna tell everyone to eat dumpster juice. As at Felonious Ferris on every platform that you're not on already.
Okay. Okay. Yep. I might even be on the middle school GSA Discord server.
No,
sometimes.
You're not.
I might be. I might decide to be. I might wake up one day and go, hey, I want to interact with my fan base. We'll see if I am so fucking antisocial. Not like in the diagnostic sense, but I just find interacting with people incredibly exhausting and don't do it willingly a whole lot.
See, I'm the exact opposite. I am such a narcissist that anyone who likes me at all and wants to talk to me, I will talk to you for hours. Any fans of the show just want to talk to Demigloom? Hit me up, man. I'm in the middle school GSA Discord server, linked in the description. Remember what we said about Discord servers not being safe? We're the one good one. We're the one safe Discord server.
Yep.
Yeah.
Don't send your kids into this Discord server,
no,
though.
Please. Don't actually send children here.
No
one under 15 is allowed in here, by the way.
This is the safest Discord server for children because if your child is in here, we will kick them out.
Yes. In all seriousness, nobody under 15 is allowed in here.
Mm-hmm.
Like at all. Just don't come in here. Please respect our community.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can find me nowhere. Go look up Demigloom on YouTube. Or listen to the Issue Crew podcast. Fucking Kathy is back, guys. Kathy is back on the Issue Crew. So we now have a 42-year-old libertarian in massive quotations who just so happens to think the eradication of trans people is really funny. Doesn't necessarily believe in it. He doesn't have any. He's not transphobic. He would never be transphobic or anything. He just thinks it's really funny. And he dropped the "you people" on me. He may or may not have dropped the "you people" in DMs. Great guy, very fun. Then we've got Kathy, the transmedicalist trans woman, who is a Catholic, who believes in hegemonic Christian values. Then we have Riely, the guy who thinks nobody is a bigot and everything is a joke, no matter what, no matter how clear it is that there is an underlying bigotry behind what something says, behind what someone says. He just thinks it's all just really funny. Nobody would ever go on the internet and say racist things unless they were joking, right? That's 3 of the members. There's 3 more. Who else is on there? Andrew. Andrew kind of talks. He's kind of there. He's good friends with Riely. Been good friends with Riely for a long time. And Andrew's actually really based. He's politically aligned I'd say him and I are pretty aligned politically. We have pretty much the same beliefs. He likes a lot of my tweets and calls other people out on their bullshit if he's not feeling particularly apathetic, but he's not there a whole lot. Then there's Random Candor, who's just a really nice Canadian guy, and I don't know what he's doing in the issue crew, but he's cool. And then there's me, Demigloom. You know me. In this fucking Mortal Kombat ladder of ridiculous characters, I tend to stir up the pot a little bit. I tend to, I may or may not be a little bit of a problem. And it's a pretty good show.
I'm trying to get into the issue crew.
What do you mean trying to get into the issue crew? You want to be on an episode? Any Monday.
Yeah.
Any Monday at 7:30 our time.
Mondays are my dad's day off, and I go and hang out with that poor, miserable old man.
Who?
So I can't.
What miserable old man?
My father.
Oh. Okay. Fine. Go talk to your father.
I've told you this before.
Yeah, I forgot about it. Oh, you and your father. People and their fathers. I don't understand it.
Uh-huh.
Well, date a trans woman. You'll never have to meet her parents. I've been Demigloom.
And I've been Felonious Ferris.
This was God.
Bye-bye. I think it's good.